Welcome, everybody, to Checking In with Tommy Else. I am your host, who else but Tommy Else, and this is the podcast where I am checking in with friends and family and seeing how they're doing during this pandemic that we're all going through. I'm trying to talk to as many different people as I can from different areas of the country, different demographics, and different life situations, and get an idea of what is going on in their lives and how they're coping with this, for most of us, unprecedented event. So today's guest is somebody I've known since he was a teenager. Um, he was my brother's best man in his wedding. He is partied many a time over here at the Else household in my place. We've shared many a memory together. We have many things in common, and he's one of my favorite people. And uniquely enough, he's also somebody who is out in New York right now. So, as they would say, he is deep in the shit. So I thought he would be an especially good guest to have on the show to talk to somebody who is actually in New York and see how he's coping with the circumstances out there himself, and see how life is different there as opposed to say here in Chicago or versus some of the other places that we're going to be talking to people from. So without further ado, allow me to introduce to you my good friend, one of my favorite people, Mr. Adam McAmis. All right.
Uh-oh. I lost your audio for a second.
I'm assuming that his lovely wife is who's milling around in the background. Am I right, or is that?
Yeah.
Or should I not bring up that woman back there?
No, it's my beautiful wife. She's mixing up some beans right now, I think.
Nice. What kind of beans?
There's some pesto involved or something. There was a slow cooker and pesto. I was during the bike ride. I didn't really know what she's doing over there.
So you were just telling me you just went, what, 28 miles?
Yeah, I got an exercise bike in the apartment.
Oh, so you did. All right. So that was going to be my question. I was like, where the hell did you go for 28 miles? I mean, but you didn't go anywhere. You did it at home, huh?
No, yeah, did it all at home.
Do you have, what kind of bike do you have? What are you riding?
The Peloton.
Dude, I want one of those things, man. I every time I see one of those, I'm like, I gotta get it. So do you like it? Is it cool?
Yeah, it's really cool. We've had one for maybe like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be working for them at the end of the month, switching jobs.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing what?
Building their TV apps.
Wow. Well, good, man.
Thanks.
Well, let's kind of reset here a little bit. So, Adam McAmis, longtime friend. How old do you think you were when we met? I was trying to figure this out because I think I was in my early 20s probably when I officially met you, but that would have put you in your mid-teens probably.
I would say 14 at the youngest, 15 at the oldest.
And how old are you now?
33.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God. Well, we've been through a lot. We've partied hard. I was honored to be at your wedding, and you were the best man at my brother's wedding. And you've always been one of my favorite people. But I have you on the show today because you, my friend, are deep in the shit, as they say, out there in New York. So I want to get kind of a temperature from you as far as, like what's going on out there with you and how's your life? First of all, I got to commend you on the t-shirt. I love the cats. Before we got going, I was saying I like the kind of tropical vibe you got going on there, or at least this view. At least I'm seeing leaves on the trees and the plant in the back. It's very I dig it. But nice shirt.
Thanks. Yeah, it's the vibe we try to give out. Yeah.
So what's your work situation like? Let me bring that up first. Are you able to work from home right now, or are you?
Yeah, working from home. Uh, the whole company's working from home. It's been like that since, I would say, it was optional beginning of March, and then it was like enforced like March 14th or something like that, where we just had to. And about a week later, it's the same for my wife.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think she's probably in the same boat with you too. So, you guys are on lockdown. How locked down are you staying? Like, are you going out? What are you going out for? What do you leave the house for?
We try to, when you're in New York, you don't have like super big, like, or even Brooklyn, you don't have super big grocery stores. So you do like maybe 3 or 4 grocery store trips a week. So that's like, we don't do that anymore. We're trying to do once a week, go to the grocery store. And like I was saying, we live in a really, really young neighborhood. So there's just people everywhere all the time.
And
And
tell me again where it is you are in New York.
in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so if we want to go for a walk, there's just people everywhere.
Yeah.
And nobody, some people will keep their distance. Some people will just walk right past you and maybe even like cough a little bit. And it's like, come on, dude.
So social distancing is almost impossible on the streets out there.
Yeah, yeah. And we're not even in like a super, it gets a lot more populated than we're at. So yeah, so we're actually not really leaving the apartment at all. We've got the Peloton. So we wake up in the morning, do some Japanese exercises, and then we'll do Peloton in the middle of the day, and there you go.
Are you still hitting that DDP yoga? You break that out once in a while?
More or less. We're doing like TV yoga, but not specifically DDP yoga, or as it was known when it first came out, yoga for real guys.
Right. Well, you gotta get a diamond cutter in once in a while, man. It's like a standing cobra,
Yeah. Oh man.
So all right, so you're working from home. You're pretty much staying inside. It's you and your wife. How are things going socially between the two of you? You guys always seem to get along just great, but now you're locked in with each other. How's it going? And I see her milling around in the back, so she wants to shout out and say, "Boy, this sucks." It's okay.
Well, she can't hear. Well, I'm on headphones.
Oh, you got your headphones on. Okay. Yeah. But how's it going over there with you guys?
I feel like we're really lucky in that we always really get along, like no matter what. Like we used to live together and work together for like about 6 months, almost a year, and so it's kind of the same thing, but except we're not leaving the house. So far so good. I thought we'd be going crazy if we didn't have like biking at home, being able to exercise, and just like we're able to work hard, like work pretty hard for our jobs. So like for 8+ hours a day, we're in separate parts of the apartment, just like not talking to each other.
Right. So you're not like on top of each other all day or anything like that.
Right.
So, well, that's good. So it's got to be a little scarier out there by you than it is for us out here. I mean, we're certainly getting our share of people who are being infected and what have you, and but it sounds to me, see, like I can go out for a walk, as well as anybody where I live. I've been there for 20 years, so I can go out and walk the streets of Glen Ellen, and there's people out, but you can get across the street from people. There's only I'm sure it's nothing compared to what you've got population wise out there and stuff. So I can at least get out for that much. But you said yourself, the people out there, even the ones who are out, are not really exhibiting the social distancing rules.
It's a mix, you have people that are, and like you'll make eye contact and like you'll separate, and then there's people that are just totally oblivious, and there's enough of them. There's enough of them that it just ruins it.
Yeah, I try to give a nod and a smile to people, because it's like I know that we all know why we're doing it, but I still feel I don't want them to think I'm being a dick, I mean, like, I'm like, look, it's not like I got a problem with you. I'm just, what they told me to do,
Yeah.
So have you, how is your family? Has anyone in your family had any issues with any of this, or are they safe, or?
Yeah, everyone's staying safe. A lot of people are getting hit by the job stuff. My dad's out of work, mother-in-law's out of work. My stepmom's out of work, so luckily everyone's healthy, but definitely feeling the economic part of this.
That's what you either get, one or the other, or both. And and if it's not the health issue, it's the economic issue, and people being hit with not being able to work. There's just people that they don't have an alternative. I've been very lucky that I've been actually been training my clients from home, doing this
Nice.
via webcam and stuff. So I'm okay so long as they stay healthy and it doesn't hit them
Yeah.
economically hard, because I will be one expense that goes very quickly by the wayside. So, but right now I'm doing okay. So, I'm very lucky with that. Everybody in our family is doing well, and of course, Mike and Emma are locked
Hunker
down,
down. Yeah.
locked down with Charlie and stuff. But they seem like, hey, you know what though, it's a good time. If they
Yeah.
were if they were going to be locked down, this is a good time. Be with the baby and stuff like that. So, um, but so out there in New York, is it like what's the general vibe? I mean, I like how see you and I don't get to talk very often.
Mhm.
Okay, the last time I saw you was at my brother's wedding, I'm pretty sure, and the bachelor party and what have you. And before that, I probably hadn't seen you since your own wedding and stuff. So, like, how social are you with people in New York? Like, do you guys have other friends out there? You guys keep to yourself? Because yeah, my brother lives in Portland, but he doesn't really have like a lot of Portland friends though either. So um, so I'm just trying to get like a temperature on kind of like like how are people out there? What do they feel like? I mean, like, are they afraid? Are they not? Are they just not? Are they just kind of accepting it for what it is and going about their life? I mean, like, what would you say the general mood is out there right now in your
I,
area?
and it's because we don't have like a ton of big friend group, but we have friends at work and stuff. I would say everyone's like pretty much on the spectrum of this is serious, let's take it serious. I
That's
have a
good.
lot of people that have, they're from New Jersey, so they just went when it first started hitting. They just like went to their parents, which is now you're not supposed to do that, but so there's a lot
Yeah.
of people like working from their parents, and yeah, I have a friend that like went up to his in-laws like vacation cabin in Vermont. And he's been up there for like a month and a half, and like so
Yeah.
a lot of people have bugged out, which is interesting, and the people that are still here are pretty hunkered down. A lot of people are doing the online hanging out, online drinking, online
Yeah.
happy hours and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've heard is a lot of people who have literally just fled New York. I mean, they have just packed up their car, driven to like Arizona or something like that. They'll go into isolation for 2 weeks and then end up staying with family or friends or something like that after that. So, um, how would you say? How would you say that New York as a state has been handling the crisis?
It's tough because you pay attention to your local news, right?
Right.
More than you pay attention to like every other state's news. So our perspective is the governor wasn't very popular before this, but Andrew Cuomo has had like a very no nonsense, like let's just get shit done,
Yeah.
like here's how we're gonna do it approach that I feel like everyone's really rallied behind.
Okay.
So we've been paying attention to that, and it's with like kind of no federal solution. It's like the best we can hope for, right? Is a governor that takes it seriously, or is at
Right.
least gonna,
Sure.
yeah.
Because at least you
And
got somebody in your corner then. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, best case scenario, it's not as bad as it was on paper, and a lot of people survive, and that's great. And if that's the best case scenario, and if it's not that, then you want to do everything as you can up front.
Sure.
And comparing this to like Florida, which is like still kind of only half lockdown, and maybe like we'll go off lockdown next week, and it's like, all right, even though we're in like a really populous area, like I don't know what else we could ask for.
Right. Yeah, and that's the vibe we're getting out here too, from what I've seen on the news as far as New York is concerned. But it's interesting because I've talked to people in a couple different states, and what I see on the news versus what they see on the news or what they experience are very different things. And I'm not one to get real big into the media and the media distorting things or whatever and stuff. I'm just noticing, just in conversations with people I know like you, that what I hear from the source, the individuals who are there going through it, versus what I'm seeing and hearing on TV, are a lot of the time not in line with one another. You know, in some cases things are worse than they're letting on to the public, and in some cases they're not as bad. You know, so that's why I'm trying to just get an idea of like,
Yeah.
you know, the New York vibe out there and everything, because yeah, aside from Florida, New York it's talked about a lot on the news. You know, and so that's one reason I wanted to get you in particular on here, because you're deep out there in the middle of the whole thing. And um, so, uh, given what you know, I don't know how much you've talked to my brother at all about any of this, because that guy is all over the stats on this. He's up to the minute stats.
Drinking
Watch.
from the fire hose.
Yeah, I mean, like I had a talk with him. We went on Google Hangouts, and he had slides to present to me. So, um, but um, but like, you know, how do you feel? Like, where do you think, if you had a guess, how long do you think we're looking at before we get to even a semi halfway unrestricted state?
Uh,
Especially up by you, not even just the country, but
right,
you,
because
because you
it's a
guys,
very different.
you guys are hot zone, you know?
Yeah, it's a very different equation when everyone's on public transit and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right now it feels like forever, because until there is a plan in place for like how we'll comprehensively solve this with either testing or a vaccine or different kinds, you know, we still can't test as many people as we want to test.
Right.
And until that's figured out, it feels like this is indefinite. So to us, it feels like this is the next 4 to 6 months.
Right. And
if not longer.
And that's pretty much where I'm at too. Like I am not setting a date by any means in my mind at this point. As far as I'm concerned, this is just the way things are until we figure out a way for it to be something else, you know.
Until to be safe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we need the testing, number one, and then on top of that, we ultimately need a vaccine if we're ever going to move forward from this, you know. And then even if, you know, let's say somehow by some bizarre miracle tomorrow they gave the green light and said, hey, let's all go back to work and everything. They can't do it like that. They got to do it the way that they let everybody into it. It's like, oh, let's take 2 weeks and do this. Well, now we're going to tighten up another 2 weeks. Now we're going to tighten up. They got to loosen the strings in the same way, because if you just let everybody off the leash and run back out there, we're just going to start this whole damn thing all over again, you know. So, and there's been plenty of people who have been diagnosed, been cleared, and then gotten it back again. So, you know, I've said a few times on this show and just in general conversation with people that while I appreciate the graveness of the situation for so many people, because I do know people who have gotten it, and you know, and I know that there are people dying from it. I'm kind of enjoying it. You know, you know, I don't mind staying in. It's nice that the streets are empty. You know, it's peaceful, it's quiet. I haven't had a real genuine vacation in like a decade, so this has been like the closest thing I have had for. So, you know, I don't want to downplay the misery that some of the people are going out there. You know, I'm very fortunate because I can still work and I'm still making enough money that I can support myself and take care of things and everything. So I appreciate, you know, what a lot of people are going through, but me personally, if I'm being honest, I'm not having that bad of a time. You know, I can get out on my walk. I would love a Peloton, but if in lieu of that, I get out on my walk, I can do home workouts, the same things that I put my clients through and stuff. So, so I'm enjoying it. Okay. So
there's that aspect of it being kind of like a staycation, which is you know, if no one in your life is like really sick, and you know, thank God, but then it's just kind of enforced staycation, which is if you're still employed, you know.
If you're still employed, things could be worse. Yeah, it's for people who are getting screwed out of it, or the people who are still working out there in the general public, working at the stores and things like that, who are not getting any sort of break from this, and in fact are working more and are at a much higher level of exposure on top of it. So, would you say that there is, with the people who are out there in New York, knowing that they're at a higher risk than a vast majority of the rest of the country, do you think that there's anybody out there who has backed off of work in any way, or do you think that they're all just pushing through this just to keep making a living?
I think it's a spectrum, because you want to push, if you're pushing through it, it's still super stressful with like everything happening with the economy and people getting sick. So you're going to be pushing through it. And then you get people in situations where they're trying to push through it, but they're not like getting any protection from their companies. Like they're not getting face masks, they're not getting gloves, and they're just expected to work. Actually, there's been a few stores around us that we were going to that have shut down like over the weeks. And
Really?
we don't know if it's because people got sick or the workers just stopped coming in because of what they were being exposed to.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know like everyone in my company is just like pushing through it. You know, we're still trying to work from home, business as usual, but you definitely like see a different stress level of like people doing deliveries, people,
Sure.
you know, at the grocery store, like very no nonsense. Like everyone's like, keep the fuck away at the grocery store, but as they should be.
What's the mask situation out there? Like, are people wearing masks in the streets, or are they just only wearing them to the store? Like, if you were to go out, would you be in a mask right now?
I wouldn't have been because I couldn't find any. It feels like if you have one, you're wearing it. Annette's mom actually sewed us some, so I have like a nice Polish pattern. Like,
Yeah. Of
maybe I
course.
can grab it for you.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Here we go.
You found it.
It's nice.
Oh, there you go.
In
Nice.
keeping with
Well,
our
see, now
aesthetic.
that's nice too. The ties are nice because with the elastic, sometimes it's too tight. Then this way you can adjust. That's a good call. Very
So,
good. Oh, very nice. Good for you.
so before this, we didn't have anything, and I would say a good. I don't know. It feels like there's like different times of the day. Like if you want to go for a walk at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when all the yahoos are out that are just like walking right past you because everyone's like getting off of work from home or whatever, and it's crazy. If you go in the middle of the day to go get groceries, I would say 80% of people are either wearing a face mask or a bandana or something.
Right.
So it's pretty
How's
different. Yeah.
how's the supply situation out there by you guys? Because like you said, with other stores closing down and supplies are already limited to begin with, is that making it harder for you guys to get stuff you need, or how well do you feel stocked?
We feel pretty, you know, it was like everywhere else, everyone panic buyed everything. And then it was like, everything was out of stock and like everything kind of came back, and it feels like we're at a pretty normal space right now. Like, you know, the only thing being masks and gloves,
Sure.
but,
Are you doing any like online delivery stuff, like having stuff brought to your home?
it's a shit show trying to get that because in New York you have to get it scheduled, and people are using like bots to like secure a time frame. So it's just like a complete shit show, and
So
we
it's
just been
easy.
going to the store once a
It's
week.
easy.
Yeah,
Just oh yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. So, what would you say has been the hardest part of this whole thing for you so far?
Um, staying home, like you said, there's like a level of like uh staycation to it, which is fun.
Yeah.
But then like I'm the kind of guy that I got to get out. I got to like see the people at my office and like joke
Yeah,
around.
you're a social butterfly. Yeah, you get out there.
Sometimes.
You like to move around and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a lot of energy in you sometimes. So yeah.
That's been the hard. And then also like I'd like Mike. I drink from the news fire hose. I'm like all day. Give me the tweets. Give me the New York Times. Give me all this shit. And uh, the level of stress that's created for my it's self-created. Like I'm opting into it, but the
No, I
level of
know.
stress
I
at first, yeah.
I have a client who was telling me last week, her husband, it's not even her so much, but her husband has like the news on 24/7 for 24-hour updates on the COVID-19. And she's just freaked out, I mean,
Yeah,
because it's all in her face like 24 hours a day. And I told her, I'm like, you gotta get a break from it. I'm like, it's one thing to stay on top of it, but even with all that information, what are you gonna do?
exactly. So what are you gonna do with it?
You can only do so much with it at a certain level. It's you can take all the precautions you want, but hearing how many people are dead or not dead or whatever the case is, it's just upsetting.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to ignore it by any means, but you don't want to inundate yourself with it either, and bog yourself down in it. So, on a more positive note, let me ask you, what do you think has been the best thing that has come in your time during all of this? If there's a
Uh,
silver lining to any of this so far, what would it be?
um, I would, maybe not personally, but like I think everyone recognizing the true value of unskilled labor and what like
Sure.
an essential job is, and like seeing that, these jobs that a lot of people don't respect make the world go round. And
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
really hope that's
Right.
something that a lot of people take to heart.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing. Like in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been playing a lot of video games. So
Yeah. Well, I'm there with you, buddy. No, I agree. That's a great observation, and I do think more people are taking. Here's the thing: I think more people are taking observation of that and appreciating people who are working in the grocery stores and gas stations and food establishments that are doing carry out and stuff like that. I do think people are understanding that their jobs do mean something. My worry is that when this stuff finally comes and passes, that people are real quick to forget about that stuff.
oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? And that's what sucks is that, like right now, they appreciate the shit out of them and they'll carry a sign and tell them and they'll, tip them extra now and things like that. But then when everything like levels out, then what? You know? So, um, well, before we go, we'll kind of close out with what your last statement was as far as video games. Uh, Explain to me the best that you can. What the hell is Animal Crossing, and why should I be playing it? Because every time I go on Nintendo
Yeah,
Switch,
everyone.
like
Yeah.
6 or 7 people playing Animal Crossing. They're all nuts for it. I look at it. I've tried to understand it. I don't get it. I see you on there
Hmm.
doing your thing with it. Sell me on Animal Crossing. Go.
Okay, so I think it's helpful to understand where this game came from, and
Okay.
I think a big influence for it was this game called Boku no Natsuyasumi, which is my summer vacation. And in Boku no Natsuyasumi, you're a 10-year-old boy who's from Tokyo, and you go on summer vacation in Japan, in like rural Japan, and you have a month. You have a month to just be on vacation. That's all it is. That's the game. And
Oh,
you go around, you catch bugs, you go fishing, you like collect rocks, you collect toys, and like that's the game. You just have a relaxing summer vacation. There's no really point. There is an end in this version of the game, and but like this idea of like that's a game that you can make has kind of become its own little genre,
yeah.
and that got picked up by Animal Crossing originally in the Nintendo 64, and it kind of wrapped it in like a cutesy Nintendo wrapper.
Was it
And
in Nintendo 64? Is it that old of a game?
it's that old. Nintendo 64, then GameCube, then in America.
Wow. Yeah, I missed
Uh,
all that. Yeah.
but so it's like if the idea of having like a nice little vacation where you go fishing, you catch bugs, you decorate your house, like that's it. That's the end of it. It's relaxing.
People keep telling me stuff like that, and I'm like, this sounds like chores. This sounds like, like.
It is chores. It is chores. I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, I do my chores in Animal Crossing, which allows me to do the more fun things in Animal Crossing.
People are like, yeah, you got to go, hunt for your food. You got to cook it. You got to, paint your house. You got to, vacuum. You got to, do all this stuff. I'm like, I already have to do all that stuff, and I'm not getting anything for it. Why am I going to add on top of it more? And then I went to see, like, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. And I'm like, $60. I'm like, I don't know, man. But I'm trying to get the nerve up to get the game, but I'm waiting for someone to really just drive the thing home and sell me on it. Everybody loves it, but it seems to be that and Tiger King seem to be the two
Oh yeah.
defining pastimes of this virus scenario right now. So it's people are doing one or the other.
One more Animal Crossing anecdote for you that maybe helps or hurts. I don't know. Is I started playing it, and my wife looked at it and she's like, "What the fuck is this? There's no point." And like sometimes she'll give me like something I'm doing. She's like, "Okay, as long as you enjoy it." And then I kept playing it. She kept seeing it. She's like, "Oh, huh." And then like one day she's like, can I start my own island? You have to share your island when you have one. So she was playing it so much at the end that I actually had to buy her own Switch for Christmas. So now her first video game console, or for Christmas, for her birthday. So her first video game console ever, and she's playing Animal Crossing every day now. So
wow. Well, that's one more point in its favor then. So
yeah.
All right, I'll consider it. I'll consider it if I ever. So like if I get on this game, can I like come and like swim over to your island or anything and see you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's tough because it is a game where you have to learn it. You have to play it the way it wants to be played. You like can't pick it up and be like, well, I'm gonna do my combos this way, or I'm gonna like. It's very much you have to like, it's like floating on the river. You have to like relax, let the current take you. But if you're trying to like swim on your own, you're gonna drown and hate it. So I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take that under consideration. All right. Well, thanks for talking to me, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I appreciate you hanging out with me here for a few minutes and letting us know how things are going in New York. One of the things I want to do is, hopefully as time goes by and we kind of come out the other end of this thing, is check back in with people. So at some point, I'd like to bring you back on and see what's happened since now versus then, and how you're dealing with it then. So hopefully we can check back in a little while and see how the McAmis family's doing over there. So shameless.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, all right, brother. I love you. I hope you stay safe. You guys take care over there. And thank you for coming on the show, my friend. I appreciate it. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Thanks, Tom. Be safe.
Adios, buddy. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's my interview with Mr. Adam McAmis, coming to you from Brooklyn. Glad to hear he's doing okay. Glad to hear he's giving that Peloton some hell. I really want one of those things. It sounds about what you would expect. New York is a busy place, a lot of people, probably much harder for him to get out and go for just even a walk without having to interact with a lot of people. So under those circumstances, I can see having to really, really isolate yourself and stay inside. I am in good fortune that I can walk around the streets of Glen Ellen with plenty of space between me and anyone else who might be out too. So, but good for him and his wife for being able to hunker down, do their jobs, live together. And, she's a wonderful girl. I know I was honored to be a part of his wedding, or be at his wedding. And I know that they'll be just fine getting through this whole thing. And I look forward to the next time I get to see that man in person and give him a big, giant bear hug. So, for checking in with Tommy Else, I am, of course, your host. Who else but Tommy Else? And join us next time. And until then, peace and love.